Hello, hello. I would just like to address the coronavirus subject. I have a lot to say about this. I want to look at this from the perspective of a psychonaut. I consider myself a psychonaut. It's basically the opposite of an astronaut. An astronaut is someone who explores space, outer space. Psychonaut is someone who explores inner space. See if this is something that works for you, that helps you respond to whatever's coming up for you during this time. There's nothing wrong with how any of this is unfolding. There's nothing wrong with how you're experiencing it, how your neighbor's experiencing it, how, the person down the street is experiencing it. It's all part of the process that we're all in together. It's important to have compassion. If you're one of those people out there who are thinking, wow, this is all being blown out of proportion, why does it have to be like this, feeling really inconvenienced by all of this, well, you're gonna have a different lesson than the person who's like, oh my god, I need to buy all the fucking toilet paper and never come out of my house because I'm too scared. We're all experiencing our own perspective of this experience, and we're all taking in what we need to take in during this time. It's all okay. It's all a reflection of where we're at as far as our own soul's journey is concerned. What's happening on a collective scale is also impacting us all individually. It may be on the outside, on a surface level, something that looks like a flu virus going around impacting people, but it's also promoting really, really intense fear, existential fear. It's promoting a lot of insecurity and a lack of safeness in a lot of people. And that is all coming to the surface. And we're all here together to process this energy as it moves through the collective. So for those who are not feeling like their security is being threatened, maybe they're judging those who feel their security is being threatened. And then that's some other program that's being looked at. So wherever it is you are on that spectrum, you're experiencing some level of it. What is the right way to respond to this for you? What can you learn from this experience? The thing that's most contagious about this is that it's the fear. It's the fear that is planting a seed inside of the minds of people, and that's spreading, and that's become more prevalent than the actual illness itself. And what are you doing to respond to the perpetuation of that fear? How do you want to show up when that fear comes knocking on your door? How do you want to handle that information, and how do you want to share that information with the world? What kind of impact do you want to have on other people in all of this? How can this experience that we're all having together facilitate your soul's evolution? The biggest thing that's coming up for a lot of people is fear. Or we can explore that fear together. Interpersonally, we can explore that and ask questions, or just personally, just going inwards and asking, what is this fear really about? What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid of dying? Why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? Because we're all gonna die, right? I'm not invalidating that that's a very legit fear, but ask yourself, why is my fear of death a problem right now at this point in my life? Well, blank, whatever your answer is. What is your answer to that question? What is it that you want to do in this life that you haven't done yet? What are the things that are really important to you that you want to put your attention on? How do you want to show up moment to moment? How do you want to be in your life? Are you living that way? If death comes knocking at your door tomorrow, 5 minutes from now, will you feel fulfilled? Will you feel like you really showed up for this life to do the thing you came here for as a soul? I don't know why people are afraid. I can't assume why, but I can assume that you all have the answers. If you're freaking out right now, you've got the answers about why. Why are you afraid? What happens? What happens if you get coronavirus? What would happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? And why is that a problem? Consider these questions, really. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm saying ask yourself why it's a problem. It's a problem. Why? Why? Dig deeper. Go inwards. Let this be an invitation for you to go deeper. This media, what does media represent? As a collective, looking at this from a bigger picture perspective, looking down on what's happening to human consciousness right now in response to this virus. What is responsible for this stirring of energy? Well, there's the illness, there's also the media. The media is playing a really big role in all of this. What does the media represent? What kind of narrative is the media perpetuating in our human consciousness? What really, when you walk into a store or a restaurant and like CP24 or whatever station it is that's playing in your country, in your town, that little, oh look, a siren. Of course that's happening right now. What is playing on your television when you go into like some random default space where there's a TV? There's probably a bunch of news happening, and then there's this little scrolling text that's saying how many people died, how many people got shot, how many people are now dying of coronavirus. It's just this, what is media perpetuating? Is it perpetuating peace and love? No, it's not. It's not. You can certainly say that it is not. Why are we subscribing to these channels, these frequencies? Why? Is that serving us in our soul's evolution? It's certainly a huge part of what it is we're all exposed to. Why do you think that is? What is that showing us? What is that reflection offering us? And for me, when I think about what the media represents inside of me, what are the parallels happening here? That media, for me, is my anxiety. Media equals anxiety in my interpretation of it. So when anxiety is in an inflamed state, what happens is the psyche is not able to think clearly. And what's really important to keep in mind is that fear is a completely useless emotion when we're dealing with the conflict. It's completely useless because it turns off certain areas of the brain so that all we're doing is in fight or flight. And those responses are not serving us right now. Are you being chased by a bear? No. So then you don't need that program. It would be much more effective to respond to a crisis with consciousness, mindfulness, compassion, understanding. These are all things that can really help move things along in a positive way. Because if we're responding from a place of fear and mania and hysteria, then what narrative are we continuing to perpetuate in our own lives? It's so important to look at this. What can I do about this in my own world, in my own narrative, in my own interactions with people? What is this bringing up for me right now? Do you feel afraid? Are you freaking out? Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's there to show you something about yourself. Let that be your work. Let that be the classroom that you're in right now, because it is. It just is. If you're feeling challenged at all, that's your lesson, that's your exam that you're taking right now. If you're judging other people for the classrooms that they're in, that's okay. That's your classroom. Your classroom is on the judgment of others. So it's all part of it. It's all part of it, and it's all okay. It's all okay. And I know it sounds, there's a lot of logical minds who are gonna watch this and say, it's not okay because resources, because masks and all the things, and food and toilet paper. It's not okay because this rippling out effect is taking place. And yes, are those issues concerning? Absolutely. The impact, we don't even know to what degree this is going to affect all of us in all the different pockets of our lives. But the thing is, it's going to affect us. It wants our attention. It, whatever the heck it is in some ways its own entity. This fear is awake in us all. It dwells within us. How are we going to respond to this? What can we do about it? If you're on social media and you're choosing to respond to this and you're choosing to share your perspective, what kind of impact are you having on others? What narrative are you inviting other people to subscribe to? Is that serving the collective? Is that serving you, your community? This is my response to the fear narrative. It's okay. It's okay. Let that fear be here. Don't try to run away from the fear. That may create some temporary sense of resolve and peace, but it's not really serving you at the end of the day, because we have to get good at this fear thing. And it's an existential fear, I get it, it's big, it's really significant, very important. But at some point in your life, you're going to have to look at this again. You're going to have to look at this again in a more significant way. Maybe someone you love is dying. Maybe you're dying, you know? Because at some point that's going to happen. So when this kind of fear, this kind of existential fear shows up, what can we take from this in a way that allows us to grow into higher expressions of ourselves? We're being invited to look at fear. Is this a useful program? Do we really need this? I think what we're all being shown right now is that this program is actually having a real negative impact on us as a collective. So can we shed this program? Can we look at this program in a different way? Can we relate to this energy in a different way? We are being invited to look at this differently. Because every time we experience our patterns in our lives, all those negative loops that we keep experiencing in our own personal realities, whenever we see this stuff come up, we are being invited to approach it differently. We're not being invited to approach it the exact same unconscious way over and over and over again. That's not the way. That's not the way to evolve. I mean, we'll keep doing that for as long as we need to until something else happens, until we're being invited to open our eyes and really look at this. Stop running. Stop running away from the discomfort. Be with it. Really allow yourself. I invite you to be with your discomfort. Be with it and see what's there for you. See what you can learn from this so that you can extract tools and lessons and resources that are invaluable, resources that are priceless, that you cannot buy at a grocery store. These resources are going to be immensely valuable for you as you move through challenges in your life. I just want to be a reflection that promotes self-inquiry, a reflection that promotes compassion, curiosity, understanding. I want to be the kind of reflection that creates space for everything to be here. You know, acceptance for all that is, and be okay with it, because it's all happening. It's all happening right now, and it's always been like this. We've all been feeling various degrees of this in different ways. It's just we have something in common right now. We're all looking at this one thing. We're all looking at this one thing, and that's bringing us together in unity, inviting us to have conversations like this. And that's pretty fucking cool, in my opinion. So, anyways, that's all I really wanted to share with you. And thank you for taking time to listen, to be here with me in these moments. Have a good rest of your day. Bye, bye, bye.